Hi. Okay, Jess and I are going to be live here in just a few minutes, and we're doing this remotely for the first time. So give me just a second. And when Jess appears here, we're going to get her in. Are you on, Jess? Okay. I think you are. Oh, there's Pam. Why am I not seeing Jess? Okay, there she is. Hold tight. Okay. Yay, we did it. That's
Wow.
perfect. Great. Okay.
We did it.
We did it. And hi, Pam. We saw you first.
Hi, Pam.
That's so funny.
Everything's fine. We're learning as we go,
Yes,
right?
we are.
Yep.
We've learned a lot so far, honestly. It's great.
I
So
know.
not only are we teaching other things, but we're learning a lot from this.
This is like all the tech stuff puts me like way outside my comfort zone. I'm pretty proud of us. So.
I do too. I think it's great. I love tech stuff, but I get very frustrated with it. But we figured out a lot today, so that's good. Be proud of us, Pam.
Me too. Thanks, Pam. Anyway, we're separate today because I got a sick kiddo, so we're kind of figuring this out on the fly today. We didn't want to miss our promised video this week, so
yeah. So it works. This works.
Yep. So okay, today we want to talk about spring and gardening and just how each of us are starting to get prepared. I know that I've been thinking, Alistair's up here with me already.
And Nala's right here, so that's great.
The dang cat is going to be making an appearance, I can tell. So anyway, we want to talk about just gardening and getting prepared here for spring and what we're up to. So
yeah, and we're super excited because we've really been, we go overboard. So
yeah,
we're really, we've been really working at this, but we want to gear this conversation to, hi, Alley Cat.
He's here.
We want to gear this conversation or this live to so that it's good for beginners as well as
Anybody,
just sharing
really.
what we do with other gardeners that are seasoned. So we want to kind of do both, but we want to really help some people that are newbies to this. So we've had a lot of questions about gardening and stuff, so we want to kind of help these people along.
Yeah, and it's something that you and I both are very interested in, just in general, in our hobbies and lives and everything. So it's fun to share. So.
It's just part of our. It's a very huge part of both of our lives. So yeah. So I definitely think we have a lot to share.
I think so.
So let's.
So we wanted to hit on a few things, though. We wanted to talk about our favorite crops that we like to grow, how we like to track stuff, pollination gardens, and just maybe how to get started. You want to start with how to get started?
Yeah, let's do that. So, anytime, once you're seasoned, you're going to be setting goals like all the freaking time, all the time, because your goals are going to change all the time. And like my goals really, truly shifted this year. The last couple years, my garden has been very sparse because I just wasn't feeling good. So I wasn't able to really get out there. So this year I'm feeling better and I can't wait. So I've totally shifted. I used to I really way back in the beginning, I started with herbs and then went to veggies and stuff and then kind of was all over the place. This year I'm going to do my vegetables and things and beans and stuff that are very that preserve for a long time and things that I don't mind preserving and canning. Canning is great. Canning is fun and freezing and stuff. There can be a lot of work involved in it. So I want to do the things that for me that maybe don't take quite the effort. And then I'm going to have a huge focus on herbs and medicinal herbs with specific uses. So, Jess does a lot of botanicals and things. And I love her stuff and I make some things but this year I really want to focus on medicinals just kind of because of the state of the world. I want us to be prepared for kind of anything. Yep. So that's going to be my big focus. So my goals were set in place. Right now you want to pick your goals, pick what you want to do. Do you want to focus on herbs? Do you want to focus on veggies? Do you want to focus on, beans and things like that? Do you want to do it all? So with that said,
well, funny because our goals are different this year.
Yes, our goals, are very different. Yes.
Yeah. So I do a lot of the making tinctures and salves and things out of medicinal herbs. So that's definitely part of what I want to do this year. And I want to, like, I've tried to source stuff. Some things I've grown myself, some stuff I've sourced locally or organically, some stuff I picked from my parents' house and just borrowed permanently. But I'm also like, we're a family of 4. We have little kids. One's a teenage boy. We go through so much food, and with the
groceries
economy,
are expensive these days.
it's insane. So with the way that groceries are right now and feeding a family and the cost of feeding a family and a teenage kid, it's insane. So, you know, having owned a brick and mortar retail store for the last 5 harvest seasons, I really lost a big piece of myself in focusing on different avenues of life. So now that I have this more open time to dedicate back to this part of myself, I'm really excited to get back into homesteading. I mean, 5 years ago, we have a 5,000 square foot garden that we were feeding our family out of for the harvest season. So, you know, my goals this year are, sure, I definitely want to focus on my apothecary stuff, but I also want to focus on trying to put money back in our pockets for the cost of supporting a family through this economy. So
Definitely. And I think that's a great goal. That's, yeah, I think a lot of people are on the same page as that. I mean, for lots of reasons, because like I said, groceries are just so expensive, and there's a satisfaction out of feeding your entire family on what came out of your garden and what you grew. So, and getting your kids involved is awesome. I love how your kids are so involved.
And my kids will eat nearly anything. I mean, my daughter's favorite food is escargot. So, you know, I do attribute a lot of the fact that they're such great eaters to having been a part. There's a lot of actual like studies that show that when children are a part of the growing process, that they will be much more adventurous eaters. So there's definitely, like,
I agree.
It's time well spent. It's skill sets well taught. It's food that isn't going to kill you because it's not filled with pesticides and chemicals,
pesticides, all that stuff on there. Yeah.
It's a great way to get involved in. I also just want, it's a good bonding experience with your family. And then there's also this community when you have overstock of like giving it to neighbors and family and friends. Like, it creates a tighter knit connection to food, the people around you. It's all just overall good.
And that's one thing actually I've been thinking about lately with the with focusing on like medicinals, is, you know, and I've been, you know, foraging some more and stuff, learning that skill and collecting some more books and things on foraging so that I don't
traded mullein seeds
kill
with
anyone.
a friend earlier this week.
Did you?
I thought of you. Yeah.
Did you? I have some mullein from this past season, dried, if you want. I don't have a whole lot, but I have some, and I've been using it for every asthma attack, and it really just does incredible things. And then I kind of just make sure I do it once a week, but it does incredible things, and it's free. It grows out there. And this year I'm gonna have a huge crop.
Because I did like a little seed swap with my friend Lindsay earlier this week, and she had some, and I thought of you, and I grabbed some. So now I got to find a pile of poo in the backyard and like. Right.
Dump it in there. Yep. Exactly. Well, it's actually when you clear the poo. But we'll talk about that. And maybe we'll do another post on that. Or we'll do it. Yes, we're going to be doing lots of gardening things. So all of these are good reasons and good things to think about when you're setting your goals for your garden. So that's one of the first things that we think, you know, is really important to do. Decide what your focus is going to be. Pick a few easy things. You know, some herbs. Most herbs are pretty easy to do. It's a good place to start. That's where I originally started when I did my very first garden. In my early 20s, it was herbs, and I did zucchini and tomatoes, and that was pretty much it. A ton of herbs, zucchini, and tomatoes. Those things are really easy to do, really easy to find answers for if you run into a problem. And picking heirloom seeds are really like the. You want some dog poo? I have plenty of horse poo.
Thanks, Pam.
You know, you want to focus on the things that you're going to use. You want to focus on things that are a little hardy if you're a newbie, and start with those things. Start with the easier stuff.
Before we get carried away, that tomatoes, heirlooms are not as disease resistant. So if you're new, as pretty as heirlooms are, you may want to stick with some that maybe are not. Although I only grow heirlooms because I like pretty food. So just be prepared. If you grow heirlooms, they're a little less disease resistant. Peppers, squash, like summer squash, is incredibly easy. My only comment about herbs, grow all the herbs. They're so easy. I have found in my personal experience that buying them is, especially like rosemary and lavender, they can take forever to get going from seed. Basil is not so bad. Parsley is not so bad. But like maybe those are ones you choose to source from a nursery.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not grow those from seed because they would need to be started like yesterday.
Yeah. it just depends on, yeah. And you can, but herbs are also pretty easy to transfer,
Yes.
you know, and to keep them inside for a while. But you can transfer them in pots. You can grow them in pots, and some things will come back. You know, like your oregano and
Parsley,
things like that will come back. Yeah,
parsley seeds
parsley.
itself and comes back at
Yep,
least 2 years in a row.
yep. Fennels, that kind of stuff. All of those. So, and if you have any questions, we're gonna have you. You know, you can definitely. You know, just message us, let us know, comment on this video. This video will be up for a while and you can comment on those things.
Yep.
So once you pick out your things, it's easy to go overboard. Incredibly, Jess and I can both tell you, you know, we set out to order like a couple of things and end up with a $200 seed order.
It's
So,
so easy.
but the greatest thing about seeds is that when you do things like that, you're going to get way more seeds than you need. So you can actually trade with friends. Jess and I have traded. I think we're going to do a little seed swap here soon. You can get these really on Amazon, like 100 of them for like next to nothing.
Yeah.
And just put your seeds in there and you can have a little seed swap. Just because they're marketed for one season does not mean that you can only use it for that season. We have both used seeds that were packaged for 2 seasons ago.
No,
As
they
long
just
as you're
dug up those
storing
cave
them.
beans that were
Yeah.
like 600 years old and planted those. So
Yes.
that's really just because they want to make money, which you can't blame them. But
Yeah.
just store them in a cool, dry space, and you'll
Dark.
get several years out of them.
Cool, dry, dark space. And then I'm going to do a tutorial soon on actually testing seeds to see if they're going to germinate for you before you plant them. So
yeah.
We'll talk about that as well later. When you're setting after you've set your goals and you've picked out a few things, you've decided, you know, where you're going to plant. You want to look at your sun exposure. Look at how much sun it's going to get. Look at the things that are planted around it. When we first bought this house, we did not realize that we realized we had a grove of 17 walnut trees. Didn't realize that walnut trees affect what's planted around it. And for the first time ever, we had a garden that went absolutely kaput. The only thing that grew there was pumpkins. And that was because those are fine. Yeah, with the tannins that are in that. So look at what's around. You know, look at what's around where you're going to plant. Look at your soil condition there. Look at, is it rocky? Is it loamy? Is it, you know, really packed together, that kind of thing.
You also
to pick out your
need full sun.
Yes.
You really can't grow a vegetable garden in part shade. It will not do well.
No.
You need an area with full sun.
No, and you want to make sure that you can get water to it.
Yeah.
So you're either going to set up some type of irrigation
to.
system, or make sure you can get to a faucet and have hoses that are strung out long enough to be able to water your garden. Make sure it's convenient too, because you're not going to want to do it if it's not convenient. If you have to hook up everything every single time, you're going to get tired of it and you're not going to do it. I mean, I find watering the garden like therapy, but you'll get tired of it at some point. And we always have a drought.
Like tomatoes particularly, they do not like inconsistent watering. So like they don't like it if you water them and ignore them for 3 days and then water them again, then they start to get, especially the heirlooms, they get certain diseases and things. So you really want to make sure that you're including, like Donna's saying, consistent watering habits, because your garden will not like being brought to the brink of death and then you water it and then they won't like that. Squashes, they'll harbor and they'll start getting powdery mildew, things like that. So what we do in ours is it's kind of a pain in the neck, but we have this huge 5,000 square foot garden and we've set up 2 sprinkler systems in the garden, and then they're on a timer, and I think it's 45 minutes a day, and we do it in the evening, not at dark, but in the evening, so that like after dinner, I think it's like 7 to 7:45, and we consistently do a light sprinkle every day, so that everything is just getting consistently watered and not getting upset, and you're not playing doctor with your garden.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yes, huge container gardens. Yes, they're great. I love container gardens, and I kind of use a mix of both. And I know you do, because you have things potted all over your porch usually, and I have things on the back porch. I love container gardens too. So if you're small,
my favorite thing to grow in a container is potatoes.
Yes,
yes,
harvesting potatoes is so much easier in a container. Yeah.
You don't have to dig them up. You're not losing them in the ground. You don't have rogue ones coming back next year. Yeah. And you just dump them over. We just put like the seed potato. We'll do like 3 inches of soil, do the seed potato, put 6 inches of soil. And as soon as the sprouts hit again, we do another like 3 to 6 inches. And we just keep doing that up to the top of the bucket, because potatoes grow from the bottom and then grow up. I know you know this, but just for the newbies. So the potato doesn't grow down. It grows up on the stem. So you have your seed potato and then the potatoes start to sprout. So you can actually grow like 4 foot tall potato plants and they will sprout along that whole stem. You just got to keep covering
Yeah.
it with.
And you'll
Anyway,
be absolutely shocked at the amount that you can get out of that container. Like
yes.
shocked.
So
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, potatoes are so fun in containers. They also make, oh, not make, I'm sorry. There are varieties of tomatoes that are like perfectly designed for container gardens too. Herbs are
Yes.
great in container gardens, and I like them because then I don't have to truck my butt all the way out to the back garden. I can go to my front porch for herbs.
Yep. And you can also bring them in then in the winter. It's easier just to, I have a plant room, so it's easy to bring them in, put them in the plant room and, then have herbs all year long.
Yep.
Just keep them going and then throw them back out there as long as they keep going. So that's a plus. So you've picked your spot, amending your soil, compost.
Yep.
Let's talk about compost. Let's talk about that.
We've been talking about compost a lot in our house lately.
Compost is actually fascinating. I know it's but it's fascinating. It really is.
We're like at the point in ours, like I think we need a third composter because we have the chickens. So like it does not, in my experience anyway, and I think it's something people don't know, you actually have to water your compost. You can't like put it out there, especially in ones that are in containers because they're not getting natural rainwater in them. So you do have to water them or else it doesn't stay wet and the bacteria doesn't do its composting thing. So we have the chickens and we like to like compost their bedding. Well, our little composters fill up so fast that like during the wintertime, we end up not composting because then it's not enough time to like for the next spring. So I think we're at a point where we need I'm convincing Chris, like we need a third one because it's just like we need like a cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, this one you don't add to at all for this year, so I don't know. But it is a great way to like use stuff that you'd be throwing out.
Yes. Yes. And
It's
you can use things from your kitchen, and there's so many composting books, but composting is actually fairly easy for most people. Unless you're eating out all the time. If you're eating at home, you're going to have lots of things that can go in there, your peels, your eggshells, all kinds of things. And then there's other kinds of compost that you can get into later, like, worm composting, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it really is fascinating and it's all a natural process. Yeah. So much better for your garden than, chemical fertilizers. And
the overall
we don't use that.
Environment. I've been reading a lot of articles lately on like the methane gas that comes out of landfills that is destroying the ozone layer, and a lot of it is because of organic material that's ending up in landfills. It's composting in landfills, and then it's like getting into it's reacting. So it's a good way to like be environmental and resourceful. Then you don't have to buy it.
Yes, and it's the best thing for your garden. And Jess and I both, we haven't really talked about this, but I'm assuming we both, we don't use chemicals in our garden, and you don't either, correct?
No, I do have some organic fertilizers that I use, and I use neem oil a lot. NEEM.
I use neem.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
I use neem as well.
It's a great one. That's like almost like the lavender oil of.
My neem actually has lavender oil in it. I actually got a neem that has lavender oil, and that company makes this one with peppermint too.
Yes.
So that's another thing I want to experiment a little bit with is mixing my own like that. So
yeah, neem oil is great. That's just one of those you do want to put on in the evenings too, because it is a citrus-based oil. It's a hot oil, and it will fry your leaves. But
it will burn your plants.
Like I have like a little backpack sprayer that's only for neem oil, and I put that on and I make a neem oil concoction up, and that is good for like all of your heirloom stuff. It's good for aphids. It's good for powdery mildew on squash. It's good for that yellow spot that gets on tomatoes. So neem oil is definitely like one of those. It's a good one to have in your arsenal for organic gardening.
Do you rinse yours off right away?
I do it at night, and then so we do our like irrigating thing. That does its thing, and then I go out there. I have a goal of once a week. It doesn't always happen, but then go out with the backpack sprayer and hit it before the sun goes down, and then it has all night to absorb in, and then in the morning I've not had a problem with it burning by morning.
Okay. I tend to put it on and then I try to I go out in the morning and then water the next day just because I have had a bad experience and I may have over neemed at that point, but it did burn up some plants for me one year. So just use sparingly. That's, but it's a natural thing. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. It's just like citrus oil. Like you do not want to put on any kind of citrus oil and go out in the sun. You'll get sunburn on it. It's photosensitive.
Exactly. Okay.
Aerating
your soil. You know, aerating the soil. This is a great time when we have nice days to aerate your soil. If you have a tiller, get out there on days when the ground is not so hard and till. One of my favorite things is actually when the ground is soft. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. I forget what it's called, but it's got prongs on the bottom that are like about this long, and it has a turn thing at the end, and you just go in and you just do this. And these are great for my raised beds, and it just starts to aerate the soil and it starts loosening it up. So when it gets a little bit warmer and it's nice, then Danny can get out there with the tiller and, you know, get himself beat up by that thing. So, or a little tiller. We used to have a small one, and those are great too. You can handle those pretty easily without killing your body.
As the ground thaws, you can start working on it. So,
yep, exactly.
Yeah, and it kind of breaks up. I find that it breaks up the responsibility of getting it started. If you wait until it's time to plant your transplants, you're already burning out at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
If you can start staggering some of the responsibilities of turning the soil and stuff now, or even in April, then you don't burn out at the very beginning of the season.
You're just going to be very overwhelmed.
Yes.
So, especially if you're new to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of new, I guess like Donna and I are really not great probably at giving advice on this, but you know, stick to like 15 new things. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say even less, but yeah.
So, you know, don't go too crazy. If you're new at it, get a handle of what you like. You know, tomatoes, pick 3 to 5 varieties of that. Pick a yellow squash and a green squash. Pick maybe, a hot pepper and a sweet pepper. I find that the hot peppers are way easier to grow than the sweet peppers. The sweet peppers seem to take longer to turn. I've had way better luck with all the hot varieties. And then your herbs, pick like 5. You know, you don't have to go crazy. It's very easy to get carried away and then you get overwhelmed. So like, I find that it's easier to start reasonable, theoretically, and then every year write down what worked for you. Get rid of the stuff that like maybe try it one more time, but like I have terrible luck with broccoli and cauliflower. I'm just done trying. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to waste my garden space and effort on it.
I had one season that was really good. And that's it. In all my years of gardening, I've had one season that was really good with those. They just weren't my easy thing to grow.
No, watermelons,
couldn't get all those down.
Like I've not had good luck with any of those, and they take forever. And like you need 64 square foot for one cantaloupe plant. That's a lot of like, so there's just certain things I've learned over the years that I won't try again. But
yeah, and those things are honestly not the greatest to start with. Anyway, they're definitely not, you know, for a newbie, and you need a lot of space. You need a lot of space for those things. So just, you know, evaluate what you're doing, and when you're ordering seeds, also know that you're going to get like a ton more in there than what you need. You don't have to use them all.
Store them for next year. And don't throw them out.
No. And you can harvest seeds from. I like harvesting seeds from what I actually, you know, what I'm pulling out of the garden. Same thing, use those little packs. I like harvesting seeds that way, and then that way I don't have to buy that seed again the next year.
Right.
So, and you can do that with your flowers. You can do that with all kinds of stuff. And flowers, we really haven't talked about flowers, but that's another thing that can be on your goal. I mean, that's another one of my focuses this year is flowers that I can dry to use in my art projects and things that, so I know where they're coming from.
I did a bunch of those this year too.
I know, and that's Yes, and we'll both have enough for you to use in your botanicals, because you definitely don't want to use, you know, Hobby Lobby dried flowers in your, you know, if you're making bath salts, if you're making, which we hope, you know, that at some point you were inspired to make some things, to make, you know, make some botanicals and some, you know, home remedies and things, but you don't want to use dried flowers and things. If you're doing it in something that's going to hang on the wall, that's fine. You don't want to use those in bath salts and things because they are dyed. There's chemicals in there for preservation because they're being sold mainstream.
Weird
fragrances
that probably aren't body safe.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to do that. And you want to make sure that any products like that you're buying are like 100% pure, therapeutic, medicinal grade oils. So you want to make sure you know what you're doing.
Can do more harm than good. Like if you're not careful, your skin is your biggest organ too. You don't want to mess around with it.
Yep, so. You absorb a lot through there. So
so what are I have 4 that I was going to suggest as good starter flowers. I like zinnias and cosmos because they're prolific and they're great for cutting gardens, and they're a little wild and whimsical, and they make really fun. They're like a really nice way to bring nature inside, and then they're actually encouraged to continue to grow through the season by cutting. They're like cut and go, cut and grow, whatever. So zinnias and cosmos are really fun. And then I like marigolds and sunflowers too. Marigolds, I cook with them. They're edible.
Yep.
I made
Good
marigold
stuff.
pesto last year. It was delicious. So marigolds, they're really pretty. They're great pollinators. And I like sunflowers too because they bring all the bees into your garden. I like the little teddy bear sunflowers. They're the cutest little things. They're like they're
Look fat and
small and
fluffy.
they're so cute. I like them for the bees, and then we give the flower heads to our chickens for them to keep them
Oh,
occupied among.
they love that. My
Yeah.
God,
So
they love that.
yeah, that would be my four. Like if you're going to choose some, zinnias, cosmos, marigolds, and sunflowers. They're good
Yeah.
beginner ones.
Yes, definitely. I guess for mine, if I had to pick some, I like all the old fashioned stuff a lot, and I love things that I can collect the seeds with. Poppies are one of my favorites. Lavender's always, a favorite of mine to dry. Bachelor buttons. I love celosia. All of those things I love. I love things that are just like have tons of seeds that just literally fall off if you put them in a bouquet. I
You know when
love
you
that.
have celosia and then you go through and you just whap them and they just like you can hear it raining all the way.
Yes, and I love that. Anything that I can collect a seed from and it has a ton of seeds, I am all about.
yeah.
I don't know. It just fulfills something in my earthy witchiness that I love. So
I have, before we get away from, okay, actually I have mine right here. Hold on. So one of my favorite seed companies is Botanical Interest. We're in Maryland. There is a bunch of local retailers here. The one nearest me is Sweet Bay Farms, and they sell Botanical Interest. These, I was just going to show my three favorite flowers here. So this one's a Save the Bees blend. Some of them are perennials and some of them are annuals. So a lot of them actually come back next year. And if you kind of have the same like space going, then it doesn't matter if they seed and do their own thing. This is another blend. This one's perennial pollinators. So that one will come back every year. And then here's the California zinnias. And I like those because
love me some zinnias.
they're just fun. And we have a spot in the backyard that is for the kids. It's, I don't know. How big would you say that is, that little kidney bean in the back?
It's a good size. I mean, I'd say
50
I
feet by
would say
20?
at least, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like 50 by 20, like a little kidney bean that we don't mow in the back. We let it grow wild. My son has bluebird nests out there that he tends to, and then they have like a little bistro set that they sit in with a little flag. Like it's very cute. And my daughter has a little cutting garden in there, and we just let it go kind of wild. We keep it cleared around their table and the bird box so that he can get in and check on it and whatever. But we don't mow it, and we mow it once a season at the beginning to kind of just get, because we also have brambles and stuff that get out of control around here. Anyway, so we mow it once and then not again and let it go wild. And the butterflies and bees, it's just really cute. So
yeah, definitely. And that's, I think this year where I'm planting a lot of herbs and things, we used to keep bees, and we have all of our equipment. And when we bought this house 7 years ago, we never set them back up, and just because life happened. So this year, I really want to try to at least set up a couple of hives, and maybe we could set one up at your house too around your pollinator garden.
Like on I've always wanted to do bees. It's just one of those, like, it's like bread making for me. I had to like get over the mental hurdle of learning to bake bread. Like I would love to learn beekeeping. I just need a partner in it. So that would be fun.
Well,
yes.
We'll set and then the kids will love it. We'll set up a hive over there too.
I know.
So that's great.
Okay,
Cool.
Bethany's been talking about it too. So that'd be fun. We should do like a little bee experiment and make it a 1-year goal. Like in the next year, we'll have bees here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Definitely. So if you haven't ordered your seeds yet, you definitely want to order them. So Botanical Interests is a great one. My two favorites are Baker Creek and Strictly Medicinal seeds. So, and that one's, their catalog is not real colorful, but they have really good stuff. They have really, really good stuff.
Also, their social media presence is amazing.
Baker Creek.
Have you been? I love the guy that wears the Afghan clothes.
Yes, and their catalogs, I don't have it here with me. Their catalogs are freaking incredible. So too, I love their catalog. I could sit and look at it for hours. I save their big yearly one, and that's a catalog. You get a small one free every year. You can get that, but they have a big one that's like this, and it's got recipes, it's got tips, it's got beautiful pictures, and it has everything in it that they have. You pay $15 for that catalog, but it is so worth it. And I keep it every year as a resource just to have. Yeah. So those are my two favorites.
Interest doesn't have one that big, but they do. You just have to get online and then request they won't send it to you automatically every year, but if you just go in, and Baker Creek too, they have a free version, I believe.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Botanical.
So that's a small one. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can go in, and it arrived when I requested mine this year. I think I got it in like 8 days. It wasn't much, you know.
No, it never takes long
No,
for theirs. Never
no.
does.
So, and then
And again, if you're a newbie and the seed starting thing for your first year um, is not, is scary for you. And I get that it can be, and it can be disappointing. The worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to germinate, or you're going to not get them transferred over in time. But we can help you through that.
yeah,
But if it's too much, there's nothing wrong with buying your
no.
plants. You just want to be careful where you're buying them from. And Strictly Medicinal Herbs they will ship live plants.
Oh, that's cool.
You can also, there are some places locally that you can also get things that are organic. It's very hard though. It's very hard to find plants in a greenhouse setting that are organic. So, but it's okay to do it your first year and start that way if need be. Nobody's gonna know, nobody's gonna diss you. I don't like doing that only because I like to know that my stuff, I like to know where my seeds come from. I like heirloom stuff, and I also like to know that they weren't grown with a bunch of pesticides. So
I agree, but I also, just for the sake of like, it's always going to be better no matter how you came about them to grow it yourself.
yes.
Ultimately.
Yes.
So like getting started, however you feel like you have to get started, do it. But there's a lot of really great seed companies out there that would help you on an organic journey too when you're at that point.
Yes,
so
definitely.
yeah.
And if you plant your seeds the first year, you will have some success, and you might have total 100% success. But I guarantee you, if you start those seeds and grow them, and then harvest them and go through the whole process, you'll be addicted. And then next year,
yeah.
you're going to go
Forget
haywire.
it. Done.
It's just the way
Done.
it goes. Yeah.
Just start with 15 the first year, and then you can join the dark side with us.
That's right.
So,
That's right. And there's things. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we briefly mentioned it, but keep a journal. Like, do that. And you can either make that part of your grimoire, or you can just have your own gardening journal on the side that you're writing down notes, maybe when you started things, when you transplanted them, how well did this variety grow? Would you do that again? And just kind of keep track of what you're doing. And it helps make it easier, because when you get to the point where we're at, where you have so many seeds and stuff, it's easy to be like, did that grow well? Or, it's nice to be able to refer back. Yeah.
Just keep notes. Yes. Oh, I tried that, but I don't remember ever eating it.
Right.
So yeah, you just want to keep some notes, and even where you planted things. If you have, if you're going to be spreading things out, where you planted things. Markers can fade, markers can blow away. So just make sure that you're either marking them really well with some sort of rock. A lot of times I'll just do a rock that I know is not going to blow away, and then, paint it with the thing, and then just kind of coat it. So you can do anything. Just make sure that you're monitoring if your things are fading before harvest time, which they will.
I have a hate-hate relationship with markers in the garden, because they always seem, by the time it comes to like harvesting, they faded with the sun or watering. Something that I picked up the last 2 years that really helped me was, those plastic plant labels that come on nursery stock at the nursery?
The little hard plastic with the pick, or?
No, they're like a long, thin label. They look like almost like flagging tape, and they'll be on like nursery stock and tree stock at nurseries, and then they kind of
with a loop
and pull
with a loop at the, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Sharpie on one of those, and then winding it around the tomato cage itself, so that if the branch breaks or something, like putting it on the tomato cage, writing it in thick point Sharpie. I've had the best luck with that.
That's a good idea. I might try that. And I think I might go one step further and throw a piece of Scotch tape over what I wrote. Just to
I don't like using plastic as much as like I can avoid single-use plastics, but at the same time, like I lose track of what varieties things are if I can't read. I've tried to do wooden markers. I've tried to do all this stuff, and then they rot or they fade. Like sometimes you
break off.
Just gotta choose.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So, okay. What else do we have we wanted to say today?
I think that's pretty much it as far as like what you should be doing right now for the season. We did decide to do another little special giveaway. So we're going to pick 3 people, and Jess and I both have a huge stash of seeds.
Yes.
So we're going to pick 3 people, and I just went 3 people. So 3 people. We're going to pick 3 people from our viewers today. And you can watch, we don't have a whole lot of live viewers right now, but this is always available for replay, so it'll be up. So we're doing this for engagement. So anybody that engages with us, as far as comments, you can even just comment, you know, watched live, watching the replay, ask us a question, anything like that. We're going to do a drawing out of 3 people who have engaged with this post, whether it's replay or live, and we're going to give away some of our seeds. So
it can even be like if you thought of something later and you wanted to send one of us a message and you're like, hey, I thought of this. Can I have some advice? So
yeah.
again, I think this is recording under Twisted Hazel, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're recording this under our group venture here, but you can message us also
Yes.
at of Earth and Alchemy, which is Donna, or Vintage by Botanicals, which is me. Obviously, we're trying to grow this page, but
Yeah.
you know, that just message us if you got anything
Yeah.
you want to say or questions or whatever.
And if we keep it, I mean, and if you do it here, I mean, anywhere somebody's going to see it, but if you do it in this form, other people can also benefit from the answers that, you know, if it's a question, other people can benefit from the answers that we have to give. So we're going to keep it open like a
in
week.
the comments, then we'll publicly answer them, and then everybody can see.
Yes.
That's what you mean,
Yep.
right? Versus a private.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And if you share our video, we would love it if you shared our video. And if you share our video, that gives you extra entries. So.
Yep. So I think all in all, this was good today, right?
Yeah,
Feel like you got
I
it
think
all
so.
out there?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So I think everybody, you know, I hope everybody tunes in tonight and gets a little bit of gardening fever and gets ready to go.
I know I'm ready.
Like I said, we'll keep it.
Ready.
I've been ready, and you can start. We actually didn't talk about that. You can be starting your seeds now,
Yes.
Depending on what they are, and you know, lettuces and things like that grow really well all winter in the cold. You can start them in a cold frame. You can start them in the house, move them to the cold frame, but there's lots of things that you can start now and then be ready to move out as soon
You're
as
going to want
soon
to
as the weather
start, if
hits.
you're doing tomatoes and peppers, you'll probably want to start those by the end of March.
Yes.
You know, and peas, like snap peas, you want in the ground as soon as you really can in April.
Yes.
So yeah.
Definitely.
So anyway, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Donna.
All
Glad
right.
we got this figured out today.
Me too. I know we learned a lot. So we'll talk to you all later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.